Hey everyone, Robyn here. Welcome to the Early Robyn Gets the Worm podcast. Today I will be talking about Thanksgiving, which is coming up in tomorrow. This is actually a special episode because currently I am looking right now at myself in a video, which is a new thing that I'm trying for this podcast. We'll kind of see if this sticks, but I thought it would be cool to have a video running while I record, not only to maybe keep me more on track and having to do less cuts and edits, because now I have the accountability factor of trying to do stuff in as few shots as possible, but also might be a cool factor to add in with posts. We'll see if this makes it. Anyways, today is technically Wednesday, November 23rd. I say technically because I am up at 1:12 a.m. doing this podcast recording, but I just realized, I was thinking yesterday, just how much I love doing this, and genuinely, if I could, I would stay up all night working on it because it's so fun for me. But anyways, today being Wednesday, November 23rd, means that tomorrow is the 24th, Thursday, Thanksgiving. That is crazy. I can't believe we're already near the end of November, really near the end of 2022. Anyways, on this topic of gratitude, there is obviously so much that we could talk about, that I could say in this episode, but I'm going to stick to one specific kind of anecdote I have for you, that has me reflecting kind of on this Thanksgiving. So just yesterday, it was kind of just another normal occurrence. I was sitting at my table, over there for the video I'm mentioning. It's on the other side of the room. I was sitting at my table just doing homework. I was just studying and kind of just churning it out, maybe for half an hour, just doing some work. And that seems so mundane, right? I'm starting to tell this story and you're probably thinking, okay, what's the point? Well, here's the point. I was sitting there and realizing, yes, this seems mundane right now, but literally I remember a couple years ago, not even, like a year and a half before like where I am now today, doing that, like sitting and properly doing work for even 30 minutes now seems not like a big deal, but back then it was. I even specifically remember, so I had one really bad quarter. This was spring of my sophomore year, and it was so bad that I never, ever did anything. It was really, really bad. But I distinctly remember one day sitting down and getting 1 hour of work done. And clearly I still remember that day as being notable because that was something that I could barely imagine back then, because I was just such in a bad mental headspace and had literally zero motivation. So even for out of the whole quarter, which is crazy because that's like 10 or 11 weeks, out of the whole quarter, I remember one day of properly sitting down and doing 1 hour of work. And that was such a huge deal because I couldn't fathom that before. But now I think of it so casually. I just say, yeah, yesterday I studied for 30 minutes, did some work. But that's a big deal. And so what's all my point with this? I keep repeating the same idea, I feel like. But my point is to say, I think a big part of gratitude, we can get very caught up in what we have at the present and what that means to us and maybe how it fits into our future. But I would say maybe a part of gratitude is kind of reflecting on the past and comparing your present to your past and thinking of how many things you might be experiencing now or have now that you didn't necessarily back in the day, if you will. And maybe how far you've come. I find that a lot of times that helps me take on a new perspective of gratitude and really realize like the things I have now seem so normal because just time has passed and made it seem more regular, I guess, and part of your normal day to day. But if you compare to where you were maybe even a year ago, just your very existence in the time and space and situation that you are could very well be a miracle. I know I said I'd give that one example, but I feel like to be less vague, I'll give one more. I'm even thinking of me sitting on this very couch. Again, video watchers are benefiting. They could see it. Me sitting on this very couch in a studio apartment on my own. Literally, what's this month? November. So even 3 months ago, at the end of last school year.
No, that's so embarrassing.
November is the 11th month. I always get it mixed up with September. Okay, 5 months ago, but still a short time ago.
5 months ago, I couldn't even imagine this because at that point I was still living with roommates, and I thought, okay, that's the easiest option. I'll stay in that situation, even though I was kind of thinking, oh, I'd really like to try getting a studio apartment. But I couldn't fathom that. It seemed so surreal. But now here I am, 5 months later, in a studio apartment that I love, and I feel like I'm really thriving living on my own, and on a couch that I love, and so I have furniture now and everything, and so it's a big deal. Might not seem like it for me every day when I'm just coming in from class and crashing on the couch in my apartment, but if I take this principle of comparing my right now to my past, it makes me a whole lot more grateful and appreciative. So I know we always say things like don't dwell in the past, and that's for sure true, but I think if you could use it in the positive sense of using, just remembering where you've come from to appreciate where you at, I think that...
I just realized I said to appreciate where you at. Where you at?
To appreciate where you are at, if you can reflect on, where you've come from, I think that could really serve you well in just feeling maybe that much more grateful for where you are. Did I get it right that time? But yeah, that's my little tidbit for today as I'm reflecting on Thanksgiving. Speaking of gratitude, thank you so much for listening. I say this every time. I know it's getting kind of meta that I appreciate you listening, but really, like me thinking about even another human being's soul taking their time to listen to my voice, and in this case, maybe even watch this video, that means a lot to me. And speaking of comparing to the past, now I'm going to do my math right. Yeah, again, 5 months ago, I did not even know that this podcast would actually be a real thing or could ever actually happen or that I'd ever actually do it. But here I am and people listen, and I'm so grateful. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that this Thanksgiving, you'll just be able to reflect on your past and be grateful for your present all the more because of that. Okay. Thank you for listening or watching. I will talk to you next time. Okay, first video podcast. I feel like definitely something went wrong that I'm going to discover later. Okay, as a bonus. Oh, I'm knocking everything over. I'm just showing you my setup. Oh, well, that's actually kind of embarrassing. A little messy, but I have a whole table and everything. Okay. Thanks for listening.